yes, you're quite right. We've had a lot of response. And I think this initiative is not just for the commuters. It's for all stakeholders who are impacted or affected in one way or another by the taxi industry. So you asked a question whether or not other motorists will be able to use this detail or this number behind me to report bad driving or even comment on any good behavior by any of the taxi drivers. And the answer is yes, they will be able to. So you and I, if we're driving and we see a misdemeanor happening, then we can make use of this detail. If we're driving and we see some good behavior, we can also comment and make some suggestions. So it's not just for the commuters, but it's for all motorists. And in fact, as I said, all stakeholders who are affected in one way or another by the taxi industry. Some of those comments that you read out, we've been here for about 2 hours or so, and we've already had feedback from various taxi drivers and from various community members complaining about the resources or the lack of infrastructure. The poor condition of some of the bathrooms is something that was raised. The safety issue, very important, saying that there are no floodlights here in the evenings and people get robbed. So those are just some of the things that you can report as well and bring to the attention of authorities in a bid to make the taxi industry what it should be for all of South Africans. Well, a gentleman who's heavily involved in making sure that the taxi industry is boosted is someone who's been facilitating the Hlokomela TaxiCare initiative. I'm joined now by Duncan Harling, and he is the Chief Executive Officer of TaxiCare. Duncan, a very good morning to you. Tell us about, this is your brainchild, as it were. You pitched it to SANTACO. What actually made you think about this?
One of our partners in TaxiCare, Hlokomela, and I, we were sitting one day and we came up with this concept. We then formalized the process that we wanted to go through. We then built the platform itself, and then we went to SANTACO and we presented it to SANTACO. Through the president of SANTACO, as you heard earlier, Mr. Taibosh, we then decided to utilize the Hlokomela brand and merge TaxiCare underneath that, and thus called it Hlokomela TaxiCare. That is how it came about.
How does it work?
It works off of a USSD platform, a mobile initiative. The reason we went with USSD, as you'll know, which is the Star 120 Star technology, the reason we went with that is it's the cheapest way to communicate with South Africans. Most South Africans are prepaid airtime users, so they understand the platform. And it is, we're able to collect data very, very quickly via this platform and very easily. But also it must be noted, as you mentioned earlier, as it is a safety platform, we're not encouraging motorists to utilize their mobile phones while driving. So we do have a website where when they get to the office, they can make a report exactly the same way. The website, www.taxi-care.co.za, and they can make their reports there as well. Or if they want to pull over, or if they have a passenger in the vehicle, then they can dial the USSD number on the back of the vehicle as well.
How much will it cost me to report?
It is a standard network charge of 20 cents per 20 seconds.
And speak to us about the rollout now. How many taxis will have this particular information behind them initially, and the rollout eventually, how many will they be?
Through the month of October and going into November, we're rolling out 1,000 vehicles. We're then looking to hit to 20,000 vehicles in the next 12 months nationally.
There's also an opportunity to make some sort of revenue out of this as well. Just speak to us briefly. I know behind us we have an example of what it's going to look like, so perhaps you can just point to that and just show us how it's going to work.
Obviously, in an environment like this, we're looking for corporates to get involved, so we've created a corporate sponsorship opportunity. So this area over here on the sticker, which currently says Hlokomela SANTACO Cares, will belong to the brand that decides that they want to sponsor a vehicle. This is what they are sponsoring. They're sponsoring TaxiCare, which is a safety initiative, so the brand can now get behind making South African roads safer, providing this platform for the commuters and the motorists to all get involved in making South African roads safer, which is the primary objective behind this platform.
I think it's so important. We're so easy to criticize and to judge and point fingers and perhaps hurl profanity and press your hooter, but very little can be done by many South Africans to actually bring about change. So this is an initiative where we get to do that.
Absolutely. What must be understood as well is that we need the South African public to get behind this, because it is not just the taxi industry that needs to focus on safety, although they are now putting their hands up and saying we're pioneering this, we're taking accountability for our behavior, good and bad, but South African motorists as well need to change their behavior on our roads, and this platform is going to go a long way to changing behavior across the board in South Africa and making it safer.
So this is not just about the bad driving, I take it. If I have a complaint about a taxi driver who's perhaps mistreating me because of the length of my skirt, or if perhaps I'd like to ask that there be better ablution facilities in a taxi rank, I can still make use of that?
Absolutely, we will definitely include that. The behaviour at the moment we're looking at is around the safety of the drivers, how they treat their passengers, are the vehicles roadworthy, are they committing traffic offences, multiple traffic offences on the roads, and then through the data that we collect and the outbound interventions that come thereafter, we're able to correct that behaviour.
How so? Who gets to get that information and what do they do with it?
Okay, we collect that information in our data centre. That information then goes back to SANTACO, and through their structures they'll go to the associations, to the operators, and the operators are then informed of this behaviour of their drivers, and then they have to make an intervention. It also must be noted again that it is also a complementary service. We're also driving compliments. So if a taxi driver lets you in, shows you respect, or if you're a commuter is very polite to you, you must please utilise this platform as well to let us know about that so that we can reward them for their positive behaviour as well.
Indeed, and of course it works a lot. It's a two-way street. We have to be able to give criticism and compliments as well, but there also has to be the will from the organization to make sure that they implement whatever information that they get.
Absolutely, and as you can see when you interviewed Mr. Taibush this morning, SANTACO is 150% behind this. Their legacy at this point in time that they want to leave is making South African roads safer, making the taxi industry safer, rebranding the taxi industry so that South Africans understand how important the taxi industry is to the economy of South Africa, transporting over 20 million commuters on a daily basis. Without the taxi industry, South Africa would literally come to a standstill. So we need to realise how important it is. And Hlokomela TaxiCare goes a long way to helping us rebrand the taxi industry in that sense.
Thank you so much, Duncan. Let's leave it there for now. Vey, it's back to you in studio.